All right, hello everybody and welcome to this video. My name is Vincent. Today I'm sitting down with a client of mine. His name is Sam Bakhtiar, and he basically went from like completely broke to over, eight-figure net worth, multi-eight-figure net worth in just a few years. I wanted to, pick his brain for a little bit, have him tell his story, and I think a lot of you guys are going to find it inspiring and hopefully get a couple of those golden nuggets from it. It was my first interview, so I kind of sucked, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. So, hope you're gonna enjoy this, and let's get into it. Today, we are going to be sitting down with Dr. Sam Bakhtiar himself. Now, you guys need to know that, he's the co-owner of the Camp Transformation Center, which is a fitness franchise that has over 100 locations. He's also a CEO of 1% Life, which is a nutrition company and clothing company. And basically, he's like, one of the best in the fitness industry. So, Sam, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming on.
Vince, thank you for having me. It's an honor and pleasure to be on your show.
Awesome. So for people to get like the whole picture of who you are as a person and how you got to where you are, which is, it's like people can't really imagine like how someone can go from being like that broke, just a few years ago to becoming, someone who is really wealthy and successful in all areas of life. So why don't you tell people a little bit about how you were raised, where you grew up, and just your life story in like a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I was born in a third world country called Iran. And soon after that, when I was 3 years old, my mom and my dad got divorced. My dad left, he went to Canada, and I never saw my dad after that again. So I was raised by a single mom. We usually always lived with my grandparents. And my mom was a single mom who worked all the time, to try to make ends meet and trying to feed me. Soon after that, when I was 3 or 4 years old, we went to war with Iraq, and that's when Saddam Hussein was like bombing us, and it was an 8-year war. That
Yeah.
over 1 million people died, and so my mom and I decided that we're going to pack up our luggage and leave the country, and we didn't want to die for no reason because it was
Mhm.
so bad there. So we left we packed our suitcase, one luggage, $500, and we came to the United States as refugees of war in the United States. And when I was coming to the United States, Vince, I thought I was coming to Beverly Hills because that's what I saw on TV. They portray United States. They
Yep.
didn't, they didn't, they didn't portray all the bad areas and all the ghettos and stuff like that. So, my mom's brother lived in the United States, and he lived in one of the worst neighborhoods, in one of the very very poor neighborhoods,
Mhm.
Sharon and Farrell, Pennsylvania. And he had a convenience store in the worst neighborhood. To this day, I haven't seen too many neighborhoods like that, which is like all brick roads and abandoned buildings, and outside his store were his pimps, prostitutes, and drug dealers. And that's where I basically started working at age 11, age 12, to help my parent, to help my family. And I started
Yep.
going to school. When I went to school to enroll, I didn't speak English. Didn't have the same clothes as everybody else, same haircut as everybody else. So basically, I um, stood out like a sore thumb, and
Mhm.
it was very hard being 11, 12 years old, being judged and being called names and all that kind of stuff. So that was the beginning of that whole thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you also mentioned that I mean, you didn't mention it in here, but I know that when you were growing up and you were working actually at your grandfather's convenience store, and you told me that you had a dream of buying your first car, when you came to America,
Yeah.
when you were like my age, like 16, 17
Yeah.
years old. So could you tell that little story to people, because that
Yeah.
was really interesting to me.
Yeah. My dream car was a Volkswagen GTI.
Hmm.
That was my dream car. That was like my Ferrari at the time, or my Bugatti at the time.
Yeah.
And all I knew that I have to make $300 a month if I want to be able to afford a Volkswagen GTI. So my whole goal was to be able to make $300 a month.
Hmm.
And because I knew that the car payment, I already calculated the car payment would be approximately $220, and the insurance would be $80 to $100 a month.
Yeah.
And that would be the best thing for me. So so I worked, I was working for my uncle, and I was getting paid $100 every 2 weeks. And I was working 70 hours for 35 hours a week, which is 70 hours every 2 weeks. So basically, my uncle was paying me like $1.25 an hour, and
Yeah, that's not
and
that much. Yeah.
yeah, and I didn't know anything back then, but I remember I saw one of my friends in school, and my friend was like, "Yeah, man, I got a job. I'm making like $3.35 an hour," and that was the minimum wage back then. And so I started, I pulled out my calculator. I was like, wait a second, $3.35 an hour. I'm like, where'd you get a job at $3.35 an hour? Because I'm only making $1.25 an hour, And
Yeah.
So I went to my uncle, and I said, Uncle, can you pay me $3.35 an hour? Because that's the minimum wage, My uncle said, well, this is a family business, and you also eat here. You also, have a lot of privileges here. I can't pay you $3.35 an hour. I said, well, Uncle, I have to quit. I want to go make $3.35 an hour because I want to be able to, afford a
Yeah.
car. So I got a job at McDonald's. Then I went and got a job at a car wash. I went and got a job at a pizza delivery place. I got a job at a cheese factory. These are all the different jobs I had, because my dream was to get that Volkswagen GTI.
Gotcha. But I think one thing that's very important, and I think we should highlight to the viewers, is that even though you didn't know any better, you still had that dream in mind, and you broke it down, and you knew exactly like how much money you needed to make to get there. And I think a lot of people, just threw out numbers all the time, like, oh, I want to make $100 million and I
Yeah.
want to buy this Lamborghini, but they don't actually break down their goals and what it actually takes to get there. So I think, I know that you are a big advocate of, coming down to earth and actually putting everything down on paper and making a plan. So why don't you tell a little bit about that to people?
Yeah, for me, it's always been about singular steps getting to your ultimate goal. It's never been, when you throw, hey man, I want to make, 100,000. I want to make $1 million, that kind of stuff. It's cool. You throwing numbers out there,
Yeah.
but it really boils down to what you need to do every day to get there. And if you can win the day, you can win the week. If you can win the week, you can win the month. If you can win the month, you can win the year.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just one day at a time, be able to stick to whatever I need to do to be able to get there. So for people who are listening to this, make sure that whatever goals that you have, you break it down to single actionable daily steps for you to get to your goal. I don't say, for example, you want to lose 100 pounds. What do? You put a plan of eating better and moving more, and you just execute that every single day, right? You want to plan to save some money. What do? Okay, so I'm going to save X amount of dollars, no matter what, every single week, every single day, every single month, for me to get to where I want to go. By just throwing out numbers without having this plan, and specifically a daily actionable plan, it's a pipe dream.
Yeah, and also I think one thing that you talk a lot about is a lot of people make plans. It's easy to write down stuff down on paper. It's easy to daydream about all this stuff, but and you can also do it for like one day or 1 week. But what you talk about a lot is being consistent with all these daily actions and slowly chipping away at your goals. So could you talk about a little bit?
Absolutely. Anybody, planners are one of the best selling things on Amazon and
Yep.
on the internet. Everybody wants to buy a planner, especially when it comes to, December and January, everybody wants to plan for a new year, a new thing. But it's not only good to make a plan. A lot of people make a plan, but nobody sticks to the plan, because sticking to a plan is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Sticking to a plan is mundane. Sticking to a plan is not sexy.
Yep.
Sticking to a plan is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I don't know the exact quote, but it was something like, don't fear a man who knows how to do 10 different things. Fear the man that can do one thing perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, and that's what you want to do. And to do one thing perfectly is just repeatedly, you repeat. When I was texting you earlier this morning, I was on the treadmill, my usual time working out, every single day, I'm working out. The gyms are closed right now because of coronavirus, but I
But
have
you
a
have a
gym at
gym.
home.
Yeah.
I have a gym at home, but if I didn't have a gym at home, I would be outside walking. I would be doing something. So I was on a treadmill, and I wanted to do an hour, just like it says here, 1 hour cardio. Right here, I have it written down, 1 hour of cardio. So I'm doing 1 hour cardio. I was trying to push myself to do level, an incline 15. And I've been doing incline 15 for the past week, but today my foot was hurting because incline 15 is pretty hard, pretty up there.
Yeah.
And like 30 minutes into it, man, the voice was like telling me, "Oh, Sam, it's okay. Today, just do 30 minutes. Just do 30 minutes today, man. Your foot is hurting a little bit. You can afford it. You've been doing pretty good." And the other voice was like, "Sam, don't let yourself down. Don't just you said you're gonna do an hour. Do an hour. Your foot hurts. Okay, so you can't do level 15. Well, guess what? Go to level 5. But finish your hour what you wrote down, because I wrote down 1 hour. In what I wrote down, it doesn't say at what level. It says 1 hour of cardio. So the level is something that I added to it, in my head. But I'm like, all right, I can't do an hour of, incline 15, but I can do it, 30 minutes of incline 15 and 30 minutes of incline 5. So I finished what I said I was going to do. See, the most important thing, Vince, is you sticking to the promises that you make to yourself. A lot of people don't have the discipline to stick to the promises and to make to themselves. They always make excuses. And when you do that, it becomes a way of life. You're telling yourself it's okay to open your mouth and not follow through. So that's why so many people's audio don't match their video.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, and a lot of people negotiate with their inner bitch, as Bedros Keuilian,
Yeah.
likes to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, like you say, why it's so important to keep sticking with these small daily actions is because you get better over time, right? Because I'm sure when you start business, right, it wasn't like you immediately start making 7-8 figures a year, right? It was like a hard start, but as you kept going at it every single day, you started like getting better by 1% every single day, right?
You just keep going
Mhm.
and you keep going. And by you just showing up, you are going to get better. Obviously, the best way for you to learn anything is learn from other people who've already done it and are where you there are where you want to be. But a lot of people, what they want to do, Vince, is to head the ball out of the park the first time.
Yeah.
They wanted the first time, the first week, the first month, they want to go in there and make millions and millions or just become successful, become famous. It doesn't happen like that. It might happen for 1% or 0.01% of people, but for majority of people, you know, uh, money and success, everything comes from consistent daily actions, consistent daily disciplines, repeated day in, day out. That'll give you huge results.
Yeah, and of course, like you don't want to bet on those people who got like successful accidentally, because I don't believe there are a lot of people like that. But of course, like if somebody's watching this and they want to become successful, they should be learning from those people that are the
Yeah.
99% of successful people, because they got like their, kind of a similar way. Okay, so
Yep.
this was a little bit of a side tangle, but let's get back to your story for a minute. So once you bought your dream car, all right, and you kind of started getting in your late teens, you started, you were introduced into fitness, right?
Yeah,
So
I
let's get
was
into that.
introduced introduced into the fitness before the car.
Oh,
I
okay.
was I was introduced in fitness when I was 11, 12 years old after getting cut from the basketball team. You know,
Hmm.
because when I came to America, I wanted to play football, the world football, not American
Yeah.
football. You know, and you know, when I went to Sharon, Pennsylvania in 1985, they didn't know what that was. They knew
Hmm.
American football, basketball, and baseball. So I didn't know what to do. So I tried out for the basketball team. I didn't know anything about American football or baseball. To this day, I don't know what baseball's about. You know, and I truly don't. You know, and so I tried out for the basketball team, and I didn't make the team. I was devastated. I
Hmm.
was so devastated. You know, I went to home and I told my mom I wanted to go back to my old country. I don't have any friends. People are making fun of me. I'm being ridiculed. They don't have my sports that I want. I play the victim. It's
Hmm.
easy to get in that victim mentality. So, but you got to stop it right away. You know, when you're up. So with that in mind, um, my mom said, "Well, we can't go back to the old country. We came here as refugees.
Hmm.
So, what I want you to do is go to the boys' club, practice basketball, get better, and play basketball next year." So I was
Yeah.
going to the boys' club. I saw these guys lifting weights, and they all looked like Arnold and Sylvester Stallone. And I'm like, man, I want to look like them. And so I want to look like them. And what can I do to look like them? And I started working out, and I fell in love with it.
I see. So how did, getting into fitness make a shift in your mindset? Because then before you said you were in that victim mentality when you were blaming the world for, why is all this stuff happening to me? Like, why can't it be this way? And I feel like, you had that shift
Yep,
happen when you started being
it
introduced
did.
to that.
It did. Fitness changed my life.
Mhm.
Fitness totally changed my life. I went from somebody who had low self-esteem, very low self-worth, didn't understand my where I would belong in this world, and you know, I I didn't know. So from what I from that I did that, and I started working out. And working out is so similar to life because look, what is life full of? Challenges.
Yeah.
Just because you become a millionaire, that doesn't mean you don't have challenges. You just have different
Yep.
challenges. Well, what does the weight room represent? Just because you can do, you get stronger, that doesn't mean there's no more weights. No matter how strong you are, there are more weights for you to push. So
Hmm.
no matter what obstacles you are, so in life, you are either in a problem, left the problem, or headed towards one. Okay.
Yep.
And in the weight room, again, you know, I remember when I first started working out, I couldn't do the bar. 45 pounds, I had a hard time doing the bar. To do 95 pounds, 25 pounds on each side. When I did 95 pounds, then my next goal was 135 pounds. Oh my God, one big plate on each side. And then,
Hmm.
later on, maybe 185. Then my goal was 120, 225, then 275, then 315, then 405, and to this day, no matter how strong I get, there's still more obstacles. There's still more weights for me to push. To
Yeah.
this Today, when somebody looks at my life, they're like, well, Sam, Sam probably doesn't have any issues right now. He's a multimillionaire, and there's nothing to battle. I battle things every single day. I'm battling things right now. I'm battling things both on business front and on personal front. So for me, obstacles and trials are teaching lessons that are there to make you grow, there to make you better. Life without obstacles has no meaning. Life without obstacles is no fun.
Hmm.
Imagine, if you woke up and every single day everything was just perfect, you would be so bored. You would not learn anything. You would not learn anything. So I welcome obstacles. I welcome setbacks. I
Hmm.
welcome challenges. Because I always look at what can I learn from this? What's the hidden message here? Every challenge that I had in life, I grow from it and I become a much better person and something better God had planned for me and on the other side.
I see. Okay. So then you got, introduced to the gym at that early of an age. And then
Yep.
after that, what was there for you after you finished high school? You told me and you shared this on your personal brand as well that, you got bullied a lot and, like kids just kids can be brutal sometimes.
Oh man, kids are brutal, man. Brutal, and it's crazy, because especially me coming to a new country. I was the
Mhm.
only minority in school. I didn't speak the language. I didn't play the same sports. I didn't have the same clothes or haircut. I had cheap clothes and cheap shoes and everything else like that. We couldn't afford Nikes or anything like that.
Mhm.
So so yeah, it was brutal how with people making fun of you and calling you names and all that kind of stuff. But to me, bullying is a fact of life.
Yeah.
I mean, bullying is a fact of life. The bigger guy or the bigger person or the stronger person is always going to bully, the smaller person and all that kind of stuff. You don't think United States of America bullies different countries? We do.
Yeah, it does.
We do. We
Yeah.
do. Let's say, hey, don't do that. I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in school, there's always going to be a bully that's going to threaten you for your lunch money or your lunch, or threaten you because you looked at his girlfriend or something like that. And
Mhm.
or what I don't, it's always going to be that. It's how you deal with it and how you persevere and how you stand up to yourself that really, really matters. It's funny because bullying is so crazy these days. Everybody says, "Oh my God, this person bullied me," and "Oh my God, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim." I'm like, you know what? Bullying made me who I am today. I'm so glad I got bullied. I
Yeah.
got so glad that I picked on because it made me into a beast. It made me
Mhm.
go back and reevaluate and say, I don't ever want to get bullied again. Right now we got kids that are just depressed because somebody cyber bullied them. I don't even know what the fuck cyberbullying means. You know what I mean? I mean, like, what does that mean? Bullying is usually like physical confrontation
Yeah.
of somebody, like, saying, hey, man, I'm going to whoop your ass, or I'm going to beat you up, or I'm going to slap you. What does cyberbullying say? Somebody go on Facebook and say you're ugly? Are you
I don't know.
fucking
There
kidding
is
me?
the block button on your phone.
You know what I mean? Like, are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me? Like, so, but it's crazy these days, man. I mean, I know bullying is a real thing now, but, I've never heard of
Yeah.
cyberbullying and, online bullying and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I know what stalking is, and I know what, like, people coming after you is, but I don't know all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think one like bullying and being picked on at an early age is a consistent theme between entrepreneurs and like a lot of high achievers, not only entrepreneurs. And maybe that was like some of the reason why you wanted to sorry. Yeah. So like why you wanted to, like overcome them and like kind of show them like, hey, I can be great as well at things. And for me too, like, I was picked on as well in like before in like lower grades in school. And like that was one of the reasons why I started getting into entrepreneurship and learning about online business and all that stuff. And I'm sure like you can turn that uh, downside into like a superpower.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can't ever, everything happens for you in life, not against you.
Yeah.
It's really up to you how to interpret it. It's really up to you. And I, like my boy, Tim Grover talks about it. You know, you got to use that dark side to your
Yeah.
advantage. You got to use that pain to your advantage. I use that pain for my advantage. I didn't sit down and say, "Oh man, because I'm bullied, I have bad self-esteem, I have bad issues." And like, no, I got, you know, I
Hmm.
proved them wrong.
Okay. So, when you finished high school and you went through that phase, then what happened to you? Did you get a job or did you go to college?
I always had a job. I always had a job since I was 11 years old.
Hmm.
I always had a job, because I always wanted to make money. I always
Yeah.
wanted better things in life. I wanted the Volkswagen GTI. Then when I got the Volkswagen GTI, I want to put rims on it. I want to put suspension on it. I want to put a system on it. You know, I always wanted nicer things. I wanted, I always wanted to stand out because I wanted nicer things in life and I wanted better for my life. Even, that summer before I went to college, I got a job at an auto parts store. I
Hmm.
went for the second interview with a manager. The manager said, "So what are your hobbies, son?" And I was 18 years old. I was like, "Well, I like cars, I like weightlifting, I like girls." He goes, "Oh, well, you're hired, you're normal." And so
Yep.
I worked in several auto parts store. When I went to Penn State University in college, I worked as a personal trainer, and I also
Hmm.
worked as a bouncer at a bar. So I work, full time, college, two jobs, and I was bodybuilding, I was meal prepping. That's why I had to be really good in time management. I
Oh,
want to make sure that I've had time. I make time for everything that I want to do in my life, all my goals.
okay. So please talk a little bit about your college years and especially why you got into college, why you went to college. Because, nowadays a lot of kids are like, oh, fuck school, fuck high school. It's so hard for me. I can't do anything on the side. I can't do entrepreneurship and school at the same time. And I'm going to be honest, like, I was in the same, uh, like group of people earlier. So please share your story on why you got into college and how you went through that phase.
Well, I mean, I went to college because I always wanted to be educated. I always wanted to have a college degree. But my mom wanted me to become a doctor.
Hmm.
Coming from a Middle Eastern background, my mom said, if you want to be successful, you have to be a doctor. She was old school, So I went to college. I started pre-medicine nutrition, and then went to Los Angeles College of Chiropractic, got my doctorate in chiropractic. You know, um, but college, teaches us a lot of intangibles that entrepreneurship doesn't. Now, listen, do you need a college degree to be successful? Absolutely not. You know, but will you learn and have a great experience in college and learn some real cool intangibles? Yes, you will. You know, um, so it's really up to the individual.
Hmm.
College taught me time management. You know, college taught me punctuality. College taught me responsibility. College taught me, you know, uh, how to work with others.
Hmm.
So many little things that I had to be able to improvise to be able to do, be able to learn, in life and be able to apply it to what I do every day. So for me, college is great. Now, if you have all the skills if you think you have all the skills, you're disciplined, you're punctual, you're on time, you work well under pressure, and all that. If you all have that and you want to skip college, it's totally up to you. But I
Hmm.
think that college definitely is a prerequisite and helps you a lot.
Hmm. I see. Okay, so when you finished, college, um, what was your first business that you started, or did you even start a business at the first place, or how did you, get started in entrepreneurship after that?
So I never really knew what entrepreneurship even was, back then.
Yep.
I remember I really first heard of entrepreneurship like 15 years ago. You know, um, all I wanted to do is help other people. All I wanted to
Hmm.
do is I know how weight training and nutrition and working out has changed my life and how it made me different, not only on the outside, but also on the inside and how I felt
Hmm.
about myself. So all I want to do is do what I love to do and be able to make a little bit of money from it,
Yeah.
and be able to pay my bills. That to me was the ultimate dream, to literally, have a hobby that pays your bills. And so it was never oh, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur and I have a business plan. And if I have this, I'm gonna make this much money. If I do this, I make this much money. For me, it's all about helping people transform first. And when I hear entrepreneurs these days, Vince, they get into entrepreneurship because they want to make some money. They're not really infatuated with what they're doing. They're not really care about becoming the best at what they're doing. They're just there to collect money and provide a service. Then they're in the wrong field. That's how you get depressed. You know, you got to be in love with what you're doing.
Yeah,
You got to be in love, you know, with what you're providing. You know, and for me, I was in love with body transformation. I was in love with nutrition. I was in love with working out. I was in love with changing people's lives through that, you know, because I've done it with myself. So I, I, I wanted to become the best at it. So I studied everything I needed to know about anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, nutrition, biochemistry, so I can apply it to my clients. I get so many people right now, so many young people just getting into entrepreneurship, getting into a field, and they really haven't mastered it yet. They really are not that great at it. They're just another person providing another service, and they just do a half-assed job, but they're the first one to take your money, but they don't know all the ins and outs of that one field. To me, go deep in one field, be the best at it, then make a business out of it. Don't start a business and then not know exactly, the ins and out of it. A doctor becomes a doctor, because they learn the ins and outs of the human body and pathology and everything that they need to know. They didn't all of a sudden open up a practice and learn as they went. So I want you guys to, all the entrepreneurs that are listening to this, really, really be the best at what you do. If you get the best if you're best at what you do and you're infatuated with what you do, you're obsessed about what you do, then the rest is going to be easy.
Yeah. And basically, just like you said, business is value creation at the end. So you get compensated for how much value you can create. So, the reason why you were able to become so wealthy is because you were able to scale up what you were doing and help a massive amount of people and, give away like massive amounts of value and change people's life, right?
Yes.
Just not just one person's life, but hundreds of thousands of people's life.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so one thing I would like to have you elaborate on a little bit is, you said you need to become the best at one thing, so become a specialist, right? So I heard a great story from you about the light of your elevator, because you have an elevator in your house, and you told that to me when we were at your house. So why don't you share that little story with the audience?
Yeah. So when I bought the big house, the house has an elevator in it, and the elevator worked great, but the light in the elevator didn't work. And it was so frustrating because I thought maybe it's a light bulb. I changed the light bulb, it didn't work. So I had my general contractor look at it. My general contractor looked at it for 2 days and tried to figure it out. He couldn't figure it out. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? So then I talked to a handyman. My handyman came in, looked at it for a day or two, couldn't fix it. Then I called an electrician. Electrician came in to try to just fix this stupid light bulb. Just a stupid light bulb, a regular light bulb that just, that's in the elevator. And he couldn't figure out. So I was so frustrated. So I finally called an elevator company. That's all they do is specialize in elevators. And I said, look, I have a light bulb that's out and I need somebody to fix it. And they said, well, if we come there, we're going to charge you minimum $1,200. We'll fix the light bulb, but while we're there, we're going to maintenance the elevator to maintenance. He goes, well, we'll maintain it anyway. We'll take a look at it, but it's going to cost you $1,200 no matter what if we come in. All right. I go, all right, man, I can't have a dark elevator. I got to figure this elevator thing out. So the guy comes in, literally within minutes, the light is working, within minutes. And he looks at the elevator, he like lubes it up a little bit and gives me a bill for $1,200. And I'm just shaking my head. I'm going like, gosh, man, this is like he did like 10 minutes of worth of work. But it's not that the minutes of work that matters. It's the fact that he got the job done. Where I had literally 3 different guys work on it for two days each. Nobody could figure it out. And the guy comes in over like 10 minutes and figured it out. So in life, you get paid for done. You don't get paid for just working.
Yep.
And
That's
that's the
good.
difference between being a specialist and a generalist. You know, a generalist, you know, a general thing, they can do a little bit of everything. They're a jack of all trades, a master of none. A
Yeah.
specialist, you know, can demand a higher prices because they specialize in that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that one thing, they're the best at that one thing. This guy they know elevators inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
Electricians just know electricity. They know, you know, everything electrical in the house. They don't know elevator, you know. General contractor, just by his name, is a general contractor.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an elevator contractor. So that's why nobody could fix it, and that's why I had to pay the big bucks to a specialist.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. And also becoming a specialist at just one small field takes less time, right? Because, let's say if you want to do social media marketing, for example, if you become like really, really good at just one small aspect of it, like let's say how to write the best Instagram DMs that convert people, from your
Mhm.
story, then, that's something that you can master in 1 to 2 years instead of just learning like everything and not being able to master anything like truly. Okay.
And that's what most people do wrong, Vince. Most people have the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, they want to do this, I want to do that, and people who get obsessed about one thing, they're the ones who do great stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So then, you started your first business. It kind of came naturally to you because you wanted to help people. So
Yes,
how did that snowball into this huge thing that it became eventually?
it didn't, man. Like I said, I wasn't even in the frame of mind that I'm going to have 100 gyms and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I started my first business, and I wanted to just help transform people. I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about marketing. Like I said, I didn't study entrepreneurship or business. I studied human body, anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, nutrition. So I was a technician. I was a technician working in my field and transforming people's lives, and I was happy. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew at one point that, if I wanted to remain a technician, I wouldn't be able to help as many people. I would never be able to scale my business.
Mm-hmm.
So at some time, I had to step away from being a technician and being a business owner. One of the greatest books I read on this that changed my life was called E-Myth Revisited. It's a book by Michael Gerber. And he talked about how most small business owners, they work on their business, they work in their business and not on their business, and how you have to create systems so that you work, on your business and not in your business. So I would,
Mm-hmm.
for the first five years, I worked in my business.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I knew that, okay, if I'm going to, I love what I'm doing, but then I'm going to really, if I'm going to stay here, be 60, 70 years old, only help a limited amount of people and die in the gym working. If I want to do that, if I don't want to do that, I have to learn how to scale and learn
Mm-hmm.
how to work on my business and hire people to work in my business. And that book changed my life.
Love it. Okay. So then, you started the camp transformation, or first it was fitness concepts, right?
Yeah, first was fitness
Yeah.
concepts. It was my personal training facility.
Mm-hmm.
When I started working on it, we were doing really good. At one point, we were doing over $2 million from a 3,000 square foot facility.
Nice.
And then next thing you know, recession came,
Mm-hmm.
2008. When the recession hit, everything slowed down. Nobody could afford personal training no more. Business went down, and at that time, um, I was over leveraged.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to really save money or invest money. I bought my first home. I had a couple of cars. I was spending money foolishly, and 2008 really hit me hard.
Mm-hmm.
And for a few years, for 4 years, like I was literally on the verge of losing everything. And I always say, out of desperation, out of hunger, new opportunities, you see more opportunities. Look, if you're really full and there's food in front of you and there's food around you, you don't really care. You don't really see it. But if you're starving and there's a piece of chip on a table,
You're gonna grab it.
you're going to
Yep.
grab it. So I always say, the key to one of the keys to success in life is always stay hungry. Never get complacent. And that's something that I hear all the time. And you have to kind of fight your nature of becoming complacent, becoming happy. All of a sudden, you make a little bit of money, or your life is comfortable. You want to just sit down and not do anything.
Yep.
So out of that recession, we made the camp group training sessions. And, we made the camp where we were able to have a group of people with one personal trainer. So we lowered the cost for, the training, and we increased the profitability because now we didn't have to have a one-on-one trainer for each client. And it blew up. Coupled that with, I studied marketing, I studied persuasion, I studied, so many different things. We're able to scale to 120 locations on what it is today.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you became an overnight success after years and years of working, right?
About 20 years, man. About 17 years, I became an overnight success. Yep.
Yeah, because you hear it all the time. Like, Sam, he was lucky. He came up with this new concept called this group training. 6-week program. Like, he just got lucky. But in reality, you've been doing this for like 20 years at that point, right?
You know how many programs I came up with that failed, Vince? You know how many different things I tried that failed miserably? You know how many times I had to leverage my house? You know how many nights I had a panic attack? You know how many times I had ulcer, I had to go to the hospital because I was stressed out? Yeah, the failed marriage, the failed relationships, the bankruptcy, the foreclosure. They don't see that. They thought, okay, I just was sitting on the couch one day, eating bonbons and drinking beer. And all of a sudden, an idea popped in my head out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, that idea made me millions of dollars. No, it didn't happen like that. The idea came in after failing, after failing, after failing, after failing, after getting my, face rubbed in the mud. Finally, an idea came in and we were able to execute on it.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this, Sam. If you had the option to like literally, reverse time and go back to the point where you were, just got out of college, let's say, would you go the same path to become the person who you are today? Or would you just rather, take it easy, have a safer life, maybe get like a good secure job and, try to live the normal life?
Normal life is death. I don't know what normal life is to you. For me, normal life is, I love being uncomfortable.
Yes.
When I'm comfortable, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know if that even makes sense to you or not, with the audience. When I'm comfortable, I'm like, fuck, man, this is bullshit. I'm sitting on the couch. I need to do something. I need to, read something. I need to, go make something. I need to go meet somebody, So for me, my normal is putting myself in situations to grow, to being comfortable. I don't like being comfortable. I only like to schedule comfort. Does that make sense?
I like that. Yes,
I
makes sense.
schedule comfort just so I can be with the family, and be able to lay back and relax with the family. I schedule comfort. But if it was up to me, if I didn't have a wife and kids, I'd always be uncomfortable. I would put myself in uncomfortable situations. But if I didn't have that, I'll be always working. I will always doing stuff.
So are you saying that, the thing that's going to keep you that dopamine to your mind is not really the money at the end of the day once you have, your opportunities met. It's really the progress, right?
You know, I thought it was the money.
Hmm.
When I was broke, I thought it was the money.
Yeah, it's easy to
I
think
thought,
that. Yeah.
yeah, when I was broke, I thought it would be the mansion, the Rari, the Lambo, or whatever. I thought that's what was the ultimate. And when I got there, I'm like, man, I don't care about the car. I don't care about the house. I don't care about that. I just want to get better. I just
Hmm.
want to improve. I want to get better. And now I have the obligation to get better. And because I want to show my children to always get better. You know, I don't want to be, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, during the week in my pajamas watching Netflix when my kids are home. What kind of message am I sending my children?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I gotta, for my own sanity, and because I also have a bigger obligation to my family, not just for what I provide for them, but what I actually put into them. You know, I have
Okay.
to keep going. I have to progress.
Awesome. So let me ask you this: what do you think the biggest difference is? Because you've been at all of these levels, which not a lot of people do. What's the biggest difference between making six figures, making seven figures, and making eight figures? What are the kind of shifts in identity and in the way you operate to getting to those different income levels? And this is more like a business question, but I think a lot of people are interested in that.
Well, I'm a firm
There.
believer that your income is never going to outgrow you.
Hmm. Yeah.
You're not going to outgrow your income. You got to, your income is not going to pass you up. So if you want your income to grow, you have to grow.
Hmm.
If you want to learn, if you want to earn more, you have to become more, and you can't have the same mentality that you had, the same skills that you had, the same connections that you had, the same network that you had while making six figures, and make seven figures. You can, it's going to take a whole different type of mentality, whole different types of network, whole different types of joint venture, friendship, and mindset. And same thing from seven to eight figures and eight to nine figures. Anytime you want to shift things, you have to shift things. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't, you can't, you just can't do it. It's the same thing. If you want to bench 225 and now one day your goal is to bench 315,
Hmm.
it requires a different eating routine. It requires a different training routine. It requires a different set of friends for you to be around, to push you and,
Yep.
and to make you tough. It's the same thing.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to ask from you, I know a lot of people like to ask about daily routines. Okay, what's your daily routine? What's the success formula? Everybody's just asking about daily routines all the time. But instead of asking what you do in a day and how you structure it, I want to ask you what you don't do. What's your not to do list on your daily basis? Because I think a lot of people share their to do list, but not a lot of people share their not to do list.
Yeah, my not to do list is to make sure every single time on my calendar, there's no white spaces on my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
See, my calendar starts at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Okay, all the way to bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
There's no white spaces.
Yep.
To
Okay.
me, white spaces on your calendar is the devil. Every time that I ever got in trouble or wasn't as productive or was depressed is because I had white spaces on my calendar. I just had too much time on my hands, and either I sat home and thought about things, or I got into shit that I wasn't supposed to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So my not to do list is to not to have white spaces on my calendar, to be as productive as possible. And that's what I do. And another of my not to do list is not to schedule anything that doesn't add to these three things. My number one goal in life is to spend as much time with the family. I
Mm-hmm.
schedule that. You see this? Family time. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two priority is to provide for my family. and that's from 7 to 4. And I have specific times that I'm going to do. And my number 3 priority is to stay healthy so I can do 1 and 2. And as you can see, at 3 a.m. till 6 a.m. is my workout time.
Yep.
So
Awesome.
I don't have anything. I don't entertain anything that doesn't go into those 3 things.
Okay, awesome. And you said like you became depressed when you were not doing stuff, and I think that's super important because now a lot of people talk about depression, and clinical depression, that kind of stuff is different. But I noticed this on my life as well, that when I was not doing stuff, that's when I got like depressed and started to think about bad stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
it's so true, bro. It's so true. You're young right now. Be as productive as possible.
Hmm.
Life is going to slow you down when find a girl that you love.
Yeah.
And the girl that you love, or one day you're going to have get married and have children.
Hmm.
Life is going to slow you down.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to be, just like me. Like if I didn't have family, guess what? This whole thing will be full of work still.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But I had to stop at a certain time and said, okay, I'm going to dedicate family time. I'm going to put my phones away, put everything away. I'm going to be with the family.
Awesome.
And yep, and that's what I do. So be as productive as possible, no white spaces, and make sure that you're clear, crystal clear on your priorities in life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing, your whole story and leaving a lot of golden nuggets in there. Now, at the end, in just a couple minutes, I want to cover this new coronavirus situation. And a lot of people are saying that we are going into a down market, and then that the next recession is coming, which is very likely because it's been going up for over 10 years. So, what are your thoughts on this topic in just a few minutes, and what people should do, like what the everyday people should do to prepare for it and to make the most out of this situation?
So look, Warren Buffett said that every so many years, a new set of people learn a very old lesson. And it's never been more. I see it now, and I see it all the time. Look, the way you get ahead in life is number one. The number one you get in life is you have to learn discipline, and the discipline that you got to learn is learn delayed gratification.
Hmm.
Delayed gratification is basically giving up something that you want right now for something greater later. Okay, but we live in a consumer society where there's always the next iPhone that you have to get, or always the next earpods or whatever you
Yeah.
got to get, or always the next shoes, or the next bag, or the next thing to get. If you're really comfortable with yourself, if you're comfortable with who you are, and you understand that you don't need to please anybody. You don't live for other people. You don't have to spend money to look cool, to please people that you don't even know or you like. And you're able to make money, but making money is not a big deal, but is how much is the difference between how much you make and how much you spend that really matters, and how much you're able to put money away for
Yeah.
a rainy day or for a down market. Look, a down market is nothing new. It's been happening since we were here on this planet.
Yep.
Okay, down market back in the day was a hard, hard winter season. Now you
Hmm.
couldn't go hunt, you couldn't go, get food. So down season is going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're so stupid to ignore that and not have anything in reserves, don't have any savings, don't have a plan, you're living above your means, it's going to wipe you out. However, if you plan for it, it's coming, then you're not really worried about it. And what you can do is now, when on a down market where everybody's selling everything and everybody else is freaking out, it's time for you to gobble up stuff for cheap. And
Yeah.
that's how, most money is made in a down market.
Hmm. Okay. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Sam, for sharing all this stuff with my viewers. I really hope everybody got a lot out of this. I'm sure I got a lot of this. So let me ask you, where can people find you? And also, how can people, support your work and get more stuff from you, get more of this information?
Sure. I'm pretty active on Instagram. But you're gonna Google my name, my Instagram, my Facebook, everything comes up. Sam Bakhtiar, SamBakhtiar. And if some people that want to text me, I have a direct text number, which is 909-200-4015.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for being on the show, and I will talk to you later.
Thanks, Miss. Thanks for having me.